I was on mute the whole time. I just did that.
Michelle?
Hi. Hello. Oh, my gosh. Yes. I put myself on mute, so I did not even read my whole thing on you. I read it to myself. Sorry, everybody, Jamie, and the cell phone caller.
Are we here?
Yeah, we are on the air now, which
Hi,
I did, but I don't know if it even recorded about you.
That's okay. We can talk all about me all we want. So
I know, right? This is only my third show, and it's been a couple of weeks since my last, so.
And you know what? I would like to say that I am just ridiculously happy for you. I think that this is your calling, and you're going to work out the kinks, and I'm excited for you because this is your soul purpose. And when you're living out your soul purpose, everything falls into place, just like it is for us. So I couldn't be more happy for you. It's all good.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. And yeah, and my mentor is not here tonight either. She must be busy, so she wasn't here to say, Margie.
Well, see, it's good that you're talking to us. You don't need a mentor. You're good. You're solid.
Yes. So everybody, welcome to Mystic Vibrations Radio, and I'm Margie, your host. If you did not hear that earlier, I guess we'll find out when I get the recording. So it's too funny, but. So, Michelle.
Yes. Want me to talk about all the stuff we've been doing?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, please. You are a busy lady.
I know, but it's a happy busy. You know, when you're doing something you're really passionate about, it doesn't seem like work. And so a lot of my friends are like, how do you do all that? But, you know, you got to realize this is like I said, it's my purpose. It's my life's calling. It's my highest mission. You know, with the book, my God, I've always wanted to be a writer since the time I was a little girl. And this is my fourth book that just came out, but it's the first one that's been channeled with the power of 10. I've written 3 other books, and I've been a screenwriter, but good Lord, never have I gotten so much success so quickly. I'm still kind of pinching myself over that one because people are really loving it and really responding to it, and that's a really good feeling because I wasn't really sure how it would be received because it's a lot of really powerful, transformational wisdom that's out there. And just today we just got our 11th 5-star review, and just such loving words from people that this particular woman had this complete healing with her and her husband from reading it. And that's what it's all about, right? You're really reaching people from all over the world. So I couldn't be more thrilled. I mean, this whole process, this whole journey of ours with talking to the power of 10, it's just been magical. And now, goodness, we have a TV show. I've been working with the producer all day, and he's doing the trailer, and it's just all this creativity, and it just feels like, I'm sure you understand this, Margie, because it just feels like everything I've ever trained for is now coming together to help me do what I'm doing in terms of the book and being a channel and having the TV show and doing our events, which are selling out, which is just, again, a pinch me moment. It's wonderful. And I get to do it with my amazing husband, who I could not do it without, because if you're aware of Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks, he's kind of the Jerry to my Esther. He really grounds me and supports me, and you need that when you do the kind of amazing woo-woo stuff that I do. And the fact that I get to do all this with him is just really fun. So we're excited. The TV show, it's called Don't Change the Channel, just like my Facebook page, but we just added a new Facebook page called Don't Change the Channel TV show. And, it's just a traveling couple who allows inspirational messages to come through her while he keeps her grounded. Easy log line. People are really responding to it, and it's all they're flying out to film our event in Folsom that's sold out next Wednesday on the 1st. So we're just kind of skedaddling, trying to add more events So any of you, if you're listening out there, if you want to bring us to you, let me know. Email me at michelle-paisley-reed@gmail.com. But you'll find everything on our website, wearethepowerof10.com. And that's where it all started, right? I mean, I'm blabbing here, but I talked to you.
No, you're not.
Back in the day when I was just a regular old medium, which is kind of funny, like that's not really a normal job. But as you know, I for my process, I don't know how much you recorded, but I started out once upon a time as a journalist of all things.
Yeah, I don't think any of that got recorded.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, well, I'll give you the whole background. So let's see. Way back when I was a baby, I was psychic my whole life, but I stuffed it. I didn't want it. I thought it was freaky, and my family was really, religious, and they just thought whatever I did was evil, and that was just their belief system. So it really wasn't until my 20s where I was in college, and I had a near-death experience, and that really changed everything for me. I came back super psychic, I always joke that I brought a little bit of heaven back with me. And I didn't know what to do with it. I couldn't even put into words that kind of experience. It was just a very unconditionally loving, light-filled place. At least that's what I experienced. And I was super happy because it wasn't judgmental at all, and it just rocked my world. So I came back from that, and yoga was the closest thing I could find to that place of bliss. So I was really into yoga back when it wasn't very cool. And I dove into it, and it was my stress release but I did it on the side while I was a newspaper reporter and editor. And then I switched gears after the birth of my baby, and I opened a yoga studio. And, it was beautiful, wonderful experience. And then a few years after that, I wrote my first couple books. I wrote a book called Yoga for a Broken Heart. And then that was nonfiction, obviously. And then I wrote 2 fiction books, and then I got really sick. And I really believed that it was just me stifling my intuitive powers, which is silly now. But, it's hard being judged. That's why we call the name of my show Don't Change the Channel, because so many times people want to change me. And it's like, stop it. This is a beautiful, beautiful gift. And if you yourself are intuitive, and I believe that we all are to a degree, it's just about how you manage and develop it. It got so strong with me, I decided to really take charge of it and learn about it and study. So I took all kinds of workshops because that's what I do. And I became a spirit medium. Got really good at it as far as being an evidential medium where I could talk to dead people and communicate, provided a lot of healing for a lot of people, loved it. And to be honest, I thought I was good. I'm like, I could do this for the rest of my life. I found my calling. But then, sometimes when you reach that place, sometimes it takes it to a new level. And I was at a workshop in New Jersey a couple years ago, and it was on leading big demonstrations. It was with John Holland, who's like John Edward, only different. So I was nervous because here I am. I haven't been doing the whole medium thing very long, just like a year. And other people have been doing it for 20 years. And we're getting evaluated by very famous mediums. And I thought I was scared. So I was in my hotel room, and I'm meditating. And I hear this voice, the most beautiful voice I could ever imagine. And it said, we like to see you succeeding. And I thought, well, isn't that nice? But I just really assumed it was someone's grandma or something because I'm used to talking to dead people, right? And so, I didn't really think about it. I did really great on the evaluation. Yay. And they told me something that really helps me on this path is they said, I'm a natural at allowing spirits to come through me. Rather than just passing along the message, I actually let them in, and I'm seeing through their eyes, and that's why I see it and hear it and feel it and smell it so clearly, because I allow them in. And at first that really freaked me out because I thought, like most people probably do, that I was possessed, and that's just a bunch of hogwash. It's horror movies designed to scare you, but I didn't realize that at the time. And they assured me, these people at the workshop who knew better than I, look, it's just energy. You can turn it off. You can set boundaries if you don't want it. But as long as you are, I believe in the laws of attraction. As long as you are vibing high, you're not going to attract any kind of lower energies that you don't want, living or dead. So I felt pretty safe in that. And so when I came back, I was sitting on the couch in my jammies one day. And luckily my husband, even though he's an engineer, he's very open-minded. So he sits on the couch with me, and I'm like, I feel this urgency, which sounds like I have to pee or something. And he's like, I'm like, just tape whatever comes out of me. And so I go into a meditative state, which, you know, I've been a yoga teacher for dozens of years, and so I know how to do that really quickly and how to get out of my own way. And so I go into this trance-like state, and I come out of it, and he's got tears in his eyes, and he's saying how he thinks it's going to change humanity. And I thought, well, wow, that sounds really amazing. I want to hear. And so I listened to it, and I was blown away. And I thought, wow, we're really onto something. But you got to realize I knew nothing about channeling at the time. The few channelers I knew, I honestly judged as really freaky, other than maybe Abraham Hicks, which I'm a huge fan of, and we had even gone on a Caribbean cruise of theirs like the year prior and just loved them. But I never expected to be one. I just admired them and lived my life through the idea that our thoughts create our reality. So anyway, we just kept taping him because honestly, I was out to lunch. I wanted to hear what he was hearing, and he asked all these amazing questions because he's very curious. And if you go to our website at wearethepowerof10.com, you can listen to those first, I think there's 11, free audio sessions. They're very rudimentary. We just recorded them on our phone. But, you know, well, it was anonymous at first because, for a number of reasons. A, they told us to. B, I needed to adjust to the idea that I was speaking to non-physical entities that I was allowing to come through me, and I had to get used to it. There was kind of a push-pull dance going on. I was like, really? I'm going to let somebody else use my body? Now I love it, and I'm used to it, and it's amazing, and I look forward to allowing that process. But in the beginning, I just didn't know what to expect, so there was a lot of fear and resistance involved. But after the 10th session, we invited some friends over to just practice on them with my eyes open, because in the beginning I just laid down flat with my eyes closed. I'm thinking, wow, that's going to be entertaining when they roll me in on a gurney and I'm channeling. Yeah, that's not a very powerful workshop. So we practiced with me opening my eyes and then sitting and then standing and then running around. And so it was a process. So after the 10th one, we put it on social media, but we just released it anonymously. I didn't want it to be about me and my followers based on my books and my screenplays, and I just wanted it to be about the message at first. So we did that, and we were just absolutely astounded because we had like thousands of followers from all over the world within days. I'm like, holy cow, we're really onto something, right? And mind you, their message, you know how Abraham Hicks is all about, you know, the law of attraction and manifesting abundance. And they touch on that too, but it's with the understanding that you are already practicing that and that you really get that your thoughts create your reality. Because when you do, you can create a life of peace. When you create peace inside of you, you can create peace in the external world, right? When you are manifesting so much, then you can let it spill over and everybody benefits. You can give and give and give to people, not out of a state of that they need you, but because you have so much, you want to be generous. That's the whole point. And so I really think that the reason this is exploding the way it is, and it has, it's kind of mind-blowing, it is because it's time. People are ready. There's so much violence in the world, and people want answers. And from the perspective of the power of 10, what you focus on expands. So if you are focusing on your fear and anger, you're creating more of that undercurrent in the world, which is exactly the thing you don't want. So the trick is understanding, knowing that we're all connected, that we are one underneath the skin and all the things that really don't matter. Because when you die, guess what? You don't have any of that. When you die, there's no skin color, there's no national borders, there's no culture, there's no gender. We're all the same. And so it's kind of amusing to even think that we're separate. And we get so into separateness when we're here in the human world and existence. But the power of 10 if it's one thing I've gotten out of all of this, is that there's just so much more. There's this entry-level existence that we have here on Earth, where we learn through suffering, right? We suffer, we learn a lesson, and then we grow. But they point to that there's like billions of dimensions out there. We're learning the hard way right now. And you can lift your vibration to a point where you are attracting all the things that you would in the spirit world. It becomes second nature. And as we're following these teachings, what's happening is that we are manifesting these amazing things. I mean, I got a book deal with a 3-book deal, which, the first one is the Manifesting Miracles and Money, How to Achieve Peace, Purpose, and Plenty Without Getting in Your Own Way. Big, long title, but it really does deliver. So that's the one that has been hitting #1 on Amazon in all different categories. It's been really exciting. And then the second one, that's due out soon. I've been proofing the final copy, but we're just trying to figure out how soon we should release it. But it's called Peace is Power, a course in shifting reality through science and spirituality. So the first book, what's great about it is that it's powerful, but it's kind of entry level to all their teachings. But what's funny, I think it's entry level because I've also 150 pages into the third book. But a lot of people are telling me, boy, this book took me a long time to get through. I want to keep rereading it and digesting it slowly because these are really intense teachings. So that's good for me to hear because I'm like really chomping at the bit to release the second book because to me that one is really deep. The fact that I was able to channel physics and quantum mechanics in a very understandable way, it's not me because I'm an English major. I don't know any of those concepts. And so, it's a lot like A Course in Miracles, but it's not so dogmatic. It's more fluid, and it has a lot of science in it. And then the third one is more of a daily guide, the calendar kind of things, and I'm still kind of figuring out where it's all headed. But, and the TV show, good Lord. I've been a screenwriter, but I just happened to notice I kept getting all these requests on LinkedIn of all places, which I'm not often on. But you pay attention when you see the signs, right? And I had all these movie and TV producers wanting to know me, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I decided to just write up a treatment about this TV show, this idea that I had. And we had pitched another one. It was called Small, Medium, at Large. And we got really close, but it just never happened. And so I just figured it wasn't meant to be, because we kept getting close, but it never made it. But this one, this producer randomly, it was kind of a mistake. He didn't even realize that he met me on LinkedIn because normally that doesn't happen. Normally you have to know somebody, right? And he loved it, and he wanted more, and we started chatting. We talked on the phone, totally hit it off, set up a meeting in L.A. That was just a few weeks ago. We talked to him for like 2.5 hours. Just clicked. When you meet the right people and it just gets our vision, which is a beautiful thing. And, it's just all happening that quickly because it's supposed to be, because we are following these tools, and it's a life higher than I could even imagine. I think what's great about it is that, for years I've been doing the whole law of attraction thing, but now we're attracting things we didn't even know we wanted. And that's where it gets really fun because it's just like every day my husband Joda and I wake up going, I wonder what we're going to create today. So it's fun. When you get to this point, people say, are you exhausted? And sometimes, I'm still living out a human existence in a body like everyone else. In fact, today I had a stomach ache for whatever reason. I'm like, okay, no time for tummy ache. But I just kept doing one of the main tools in the first book. It's simple. You just say the word rise. Our words are powerful. And if you are feeling low for whatever reason, you can say rise, and it helps you up to the next level. If you're feeling really good, you can say rise, and you feel even happier and more excited and more alive. And so it works on every level, and it's just such a simple thing to do. Before I go to do an event, I'll just say rise over and over again until I feel a little oomph in my step. And so it works, especially with health conditions. because sometimes that's about all you can do is use your words. But they're powerful. Your words make manifest your thought into form, right? It's the go-between. So that's my big ramble. Do you have questions for me as I'm just...
Actually, you kind of answered quite a few of them. I just sat there nodding my head.
Well, I am psychic, so...
I know. We even got the time psychically, so yeah, that worked. I have started the book. I kind of, after so many chapters, I kind of, brushed through it trying to get ready for the show. So I haven't totally read it. Plus, like you said with that one lady, she wants to go back and read it again so she can understand more of it. I think that's part of it too, is understanding it and needing to go back and reread and try and because it is a lot. It's a lot to take in. So
and
it is
I think it's not a book to skim. It's a book you read a chapter, you let it sit in, you let it, you think about it. Perhaps if you like to journal, you write, because they do have exercises in there. But even for me, and I was the vessel for it, it's, when we first started writing, I didn't know how that was going to play out, because like in our workshops, I allow them to completely inhabit my body and animate it and talk and everything. But when I write, I woke up at 6 in the morning and I heard them say, "It's time to write." And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not a morning person, right? And so I sit, but I follow my, my duties. It's not really a duty, but I sit in front of the computer and I'm thinking they're going to animate my hands or something. I must have looked ridiculous. But what it was more like dictation. And so instead of them using my mouth to speak, I heard them very clearly, and then I just typed. That's why I was able to write the book in like a month, because every day at exactly 6 a.m. on the dot, I heard a voice saying it's time to write. So yeah, those mornings I had to learn to go to bed a little earlier, and finally I kind of negotiated a deal and said, okay, let me sleep in a little bit, and then I'll do yoga to clear my mind, because I know this is about my brain being empty so that I can hear it and reach that frequency, right? So I started doing that, and it worked mostly, although I still get up ridiculously early sometimes, because that seems to be when they like to write. But, I would get done with a chapter, and I'd read it out loud to my husband, and we'd both sit there going, wow. I still do that. I mean, because like I said, I'm 150 pages into book 3, and now I don't read every chapter. It's time consuming, but on the good parts, like today, I was just proofing it, and I was reading to my husband. I'm like, damn, that's good, because it's so powerful that you just have to sit with it. So I guess I just have to be patient, which isn't my strong suit. I'm just so excited for people to read this. That's what the TV show is about. It has nothing to do with me being a celebrity. I never thought I would be a TV star in a million years. I'm a writer. Although I am an extrovert, which is unusual for a writer. I'm a Leo. What can I say? But I think that it's just, if these messages come out in a big way, it's what we need. It's people need to understand how to manifest peace, not just stuff, but the greater levels of joy and peace and happiness and radiant health. All those things that we want really are in these books, but it takes a while to really soak it in. I think it's simple but powerful. I don't think it's really difficult to understand. I just think you have to read it in little bits. And it's written that way because we have each chapter followed by the Q&A, which is a direct transcripts from those early sessions. So if you aren't a reader, and there's a lot of my friends who just, they don't have time or they're not into reading, you can listen to it if you're more of an audio learner. And so there's different ways that you can come at it. if that makes sense. But keep with it. It doesn't mean you have to read it all in 10 minutes. And I always tell people you read what you're supposed to read to when you feel ready to, because everything is energy, everything. That's what the books all say. It's all a matter of frequency. And so when you are of the right frequency to receive that information, you're going to want to read it rather than just having to prepare for a radio show.
You are totally reading my mind. That is scary, because that's it. It's like, you know what? I don't remember how many actual chapters I got through, but I wasn't sitting and thinking about it. I was reading, and it wasn't just to read it. I was reading it because I wanted to. But like you said, I wasn't letting it soak in. And like I was just talking to a friend of mine just before the show, telling him about the book. I don't think I am ready to really totally understand it. So that totally made a lot of sense. So yeah. So now that we've talked about it, I think I'm ready to get back into it and actually sit down and think more about it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know what, here's the thing, don't think about it. I think that's the hard part. It's a book that, well, funny enough, one of my fiction books is called All in Her Head, because I can be all in my head. For years, I struggled with that. I still do. I think it's part of our human conditions to overthink things. We don't start that way, right, as little kids? Little kids don't overthink things. They're hungry, they eat. They're tired, they go to sleep. They have to go to the bathroom, they go to the bathroom. But you get to be an adult, and you start getting into that analytical mind. And I'm not saying that that's not useful at times. It is. But something like this, it's more experiential. You have to read the words, and each word is powerful, and you have to be in a receptive mode for it. And then it just flows. Once you get it, what's amazing is even, yes, it has tools, but just reading those words, they're of a higher vibration. Just reading it's almost like poetry. You will get into a state where you just feel more vibrant and alive. It just happens just by reading it or listening to it or whatever works for you. And we're turning it into an audio book too, so that's due out when we ever have any time to do that. But they keep telling us there is no such thing as time, which is a hard thing for humans to conceive of, right? But time is a man-made thing. When you're out in space, there's no such thing as 6 o'clock. That's just for us to meet up at certain places. And we get a lot of pressure off of that whole idea of time. I don't have enough time. Or really, it's just about making things a priority. Because what I saw even as a medium when I was talking to the dead, even on the other side, there's no schedule. There's no money. There's no job. There's no even hobbies. You just think about what you want, and your thoughts are floating around in the open. And so you create it just by virtue of you thinking it. That same thing happens here. We're just in a little slower density of a body. And so, really, if you can grasp some of the main tenets, before you even read the first book, The Manifesting Miracles and Money, some people get caught up in the term money. Guess what? Money isn't evil. You can do a lot of good with money. You can take that money and give and feed a lot of people with that and shelter them. And miracles are just a shift in your perception. You'll start to create what you call miracles every day when you shift out of that limited thinking. But really it starts with the idea that we are all one spirit that expresses itself creatively as different souls, right? So if you can understand that again, we're not just our skin color, we're not our gender, we're not any of that. That's just basically the melanin that we needed to live in different parts of the planet. That's it. We put too much emphasis on those superficial elements and not enough on our soul. And it's one of the other tools that they say. I love this one. I don't know if you've gotten this far in the book, but they talk about ending, you unzip the body and step out of it. It's simple, right? But when you do that, you're coming from a space of soul and spirit rather than the ego. And again, ego's not a bad thing. It's the creative element of who we are while we live here. It's just not the biggest part of us. That's the smallest part of us. and we tend to focus on that smallest part of us. And if we can start to tap into the biggest part of us, which my husband and I are doing, that's when amazing things start happening, because like attracts like. You start magnetizing all those amazing people towards you, all the opportunities, all the adventures. I guarantee you, you finish that book, and without even trying, you're going to get all the guests you ever wanted, just because that's the way it works. You don't even have to try to make it happen. But see, when we think about it, we get in our own way. You know, we're trying to overthink and overanalyze and evaluate it, when it's not. Spirit doesn't work like that. That's us just trying to conceptualize it. So throw the thinking out the door. It's kind of like once upon a time I was a Shakespeare editor. And I think the only reason that they made me go see Shakespeare plays is because I took Shakespeare in college. Like, that made me an expert. But the funny thing is, I was a single mom, and I used to take my 4-year-old daughter, and she would come with me and explain everything that was going on in a Shakespeare play. And my friends were just amazed. They're like, how does this 4-year-old know? I'm like, because she's not overthinking it. She's looking at the costumes and their gestures and the big picture, right? Rather than trying to break it apart into, you know, what are they trying to say, because this is a language we don't understand. So, you know, I recommend just reading it with an open mind, just seeing if you resonate with the message. Some people are going to just be on fire with it and just love it. Other people just really won't understand it, and that's okay too. I mean, I remember when I read A Course in Miracles, I owned that book forever, and I didn't read it. And when I finally started reading it, I couldn't put it down because I was ready for it. And I think the same is true with these books. It is happening. I mean, they told us early on that this was going to be a phenomenon and to be ready for it. And I guess there was a part of me that was still skeptical. And it's happening. It's becoming this huge thing because I think just people are ready for answers. That's all. You know, it's evolution. It's, you know, when you're ready for the teachings happen. The teachers appear. And, you know, the power of 10 are just 10 collective souls, of which there are literally more than our minds can conceive of. Of course there are, because when you think about it, if there's 7 billion people on the planet right now, people die every day. And so, of course, there's going to be a gazillion spirits, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you put it that way, it's like, I think what happens is people won't really know what happens when we die, obviously. I have a glimpse of it because I died and came back, but for the most part, people don't really understand unless what they've been told. But, you know, heaven isn't just this house that you go to in the sky. It's a dimension. It's a space that we inhabit. And the higher you get, the more out of your own way you can get, the more you can attain those higher levels of being. And the power of 10 just happened to not go back and do the whole reincarnation game again. Now, there are those who don't even believe in reincarnation, but power of 10 says that's the way that we've learned throughout millennia, right? You learn, you go back to heaven, or the way station they call it, which I think is funny because the way station implies that it's more a stopover rather than an end destination, which I got glimpses of as a medium, because there's just you're always growing and changing. Your thoughts always create your reality. And so even on the other side, really isn't even another side at all. It's all right here, right now. Again, a hard concept for us to understand because we like to think in linear terms, right? But there's no even past, present, future. Everything's happening right now. So if that's all true, you know, there's just all these different layers to our existence that we didn't even know was there. We tend to just focus on, you know, the survival tendencies of our body, what we need to, you know, feed, shelter, you know, that's it. Feed, you go to work, you eat, you hang out with your friends, you sleep, you have sex, you go to bed. That's what people focus on, right? And there's just so much more, and it's exciting because when you live in this way, it's thrilling. I didn't know it could get this exciting. So there you have it. I'll say, as my husband's 90-year-old grandma, she just had a birthday and she just turned 90, and I love how she always just goes, so there. So that's my new statement. So there, after every interview.
But we're not done yet. You can't say that yet. No, we're not done.
You tell me when we're done. I'll talk as long as you let me.
Well, like I said, it's hard to have a question because each time you do talk, it's answering that question. So I'm like, well, shoot, you just answered that. So now I can't. So it's like,
I know. It's because I'm psychic. Darn it. I'll You wait till you talk to the power of 10, it's even more so. Because, I like to tell people it's not like a psychic reading. When we do our events, if you've ever been to a Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks event, they do the hot seat where someone comes up and asks a question. And we weren't going to do that. We weren't, but it just kind of happened that way. And so usually we start off and I tell people a little bit about my journey as I'm doing now. And then I take a few moments to meditate and get into the zone. And then they come up and they kind of call on people with their hands raised, mostly. And they come up and it's funny because some people have like a list. It's hilarious. They come up with this big notebook of all of these deep questions they've been meaning to ask. Other people have no idea. Sometimes people don't want to come up and they end up really wanting to in the moment. And other people just get up in front of me, only not me, and it's such a powerful experience of unconditional love. It's being in front of an ascended master, and I know from my times in yoga when I've been able to be fortunate enough to meet real, true yoga masters. You just want to cry because it's such a beautiful experience. You just feel completely accepted for who you are, and so sometimes people just cry out of joy, and whereas before when I did mediumship demonstrations, everyone's bawling their eyes out because they're healing and they're sad from losing a loved one. But in this situation, it's just this huge acceptance and loving experience. And sometimes they'll just sit there and Power of 10 will come out and get their question from them because while it's not a psychic reading, they can see through their soul. They see what they're most longing for. And people always tell us it's like they didn't even know that they needed to hear that. And then you look at the tapes afterwards, and the really cool thing is the questions really build on each other. Now, mind you, this is random. We don't know who's coming ahead of time. And they'll just pick people that kind of light up, is what they said. And it's just that each question just completely builds on the last. It's just, even when we did the book, this is a trip, because me being the editor, for years I was an editor. I was a journalist. I'm used to making outlines and planning for things, but we got the agent for the Seth books, Jane Roberts, who channeled Seth back in the 70s, which I was barely aware of. Long series of synchronistic events, but she was going to be our agent, and she suggested putting in the transcripts along with the book. Well, mind you, it was like a puzzle. So we put, session 1 behind chapter 1, but they were written at completely different times, and they completely lined up. The information looked like it was, we taped those sessions and then wrote the book. So it was amazing. It was mind-blowing that these fit. So talk about a lesson in trust and having faith that this is supposed to be the way it is. And then with the agent, when we put the whole book together, she said she changed her mind and she didn't want to be our agent. And what's funny is you would think I'd be disappointed. But my husband and I both looked at each other and were like, we were happy. We knew that it was supposed to be this way. And what we did is we self-published the book at first because we didn't want to wait. We wanted to get the information out there. So we did that, and then, of course, it got picked up by TCK Publishing, our publisher now, and he relaunched it and put a much prettier cover on it and did the marketing for it and all that. So thank God for that. But it was just all meant to be. It just completely fit. So I guess the hardest part in this whole process is just even explaining what the Power of 10 is about, because it's such an experience. And when you listen to them and hear them, it's just such a powerful thing that it's hard for me, mere human that I am, trying to describe everything that it is. You have to listen to it yourself. You have to read the books. You have to, and that's why I'm so excited we're going to have a TV show, because I think when people come to the events, they get it. It's completely been a word of mouth thing because people bring their friends and their family that are open-minded. And it's just, that's the way it is. It's just hard to describe it all in a nutshell, you know? Are you there?
Yeah, I am sorry. I'm multitasking.
Just want to make sure I didn't lose you.
No, I'm listening and there's a chat room. So I'm trying to be quiet and do that and listen. So I'm learning how to multitask.
Yes, it's an important thing. You know what? On the other side, everything happens all at once, so you're just getting a taste of the afterlife, apparently.
I don't want that taste yet, though.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, sometimes that comes up, and it's not like we're telling you to check out now at all. If anything, they're saying, you know, a lot of what comes up is that this life is beautiful, and we spend it too often in our heads, and we don't wander enough. We don't travel and look at the beauty of the world. We don't really look into people's eyes. You know, it's such a simple thing, but and my husband and I did it, and it was really hard not to laugh. And a lot of teachers teach this, but, you know, to actually do it, when you look into another person's eyes, you really do see their soul. You could do it with your animals or your babies or whatever it is that you have around you. Just that simple thing. There's just a lot of depth and beauty to our living experience that we tend to ignore. And so that's why we tend to, as soon as you die, you come back over again and do it the hard way instead of, you don't have to do that. I mean, I kept getting that this is my last incarnation, so I'm going to make the best of it. You know, this whole life is short thing, it's really kind of fun to think that in between lives that we knew we would remember how to create, because we're all creators, right? And, of course, once you get into a body, you realize how much harder it seems. But when you really can tap into that level, holy moly, it's fun. Life can be really fun. I've noticed that since we've been following this path, there's just been a lot less suffering on our part, just by virtue of wanting to learn through faith and not suffering anymore. I've learned a lot of hard lessons. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of sick of the hard stuff. Gosh, I almost cursed there, so I'm glad you didn't have to bleep me out.
I wouldn't be able to either. I would just get yelled at.
Okay, I'm glad I kept it clean here. Well, do you want to talk to the Power of 10? Do you want me to go into channel mode?
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I think everybody else would like to hear that.
Well, if you've got the chat room open, if you
have
questions. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to throw it out there to please send Miss Margie some questions. It can be a deep, profound question you have, or it can also just be some random question that, you know, just don't try not to ask the question like, should I leave my boyfriend? Because all they're going to say to you is, do you want to leave your boyfriend, right? Because we have free will. So you can ask that. Just don't expect a clear-cut answer, because we do come to this planet to figure these things out. It's part of our learning and our growth, and they don't want to interfere with that, if that makes sense. So type in your questions, and if no one does, then Margie, you can ask questions. So we don't have any dead airspace. I'm going to throw my headset on my husband, Joda, so he can tell you briefly his experience in encountering the Power of 10 in his wife, because that's a fun story that everybody likes to hear, too. And then I will meditate and get into Power of 10 mode, and then we can go from there.
All right. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Thank you. Here he is.
Hi, Margie.
Hi, Joda. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. I'm just along for the ride in this whole thing, and it's always a wonderful experience.
I bet. It's like, I couldn't even imagine. I know my husband thinks I am absolutely crazy for the beliefs I have. And I've kind of brought my children in on this ride because with surrounding myself with the friends that I have, like Michelle and others with the abilities that they have, my children love to sit and listen to different shows with me, and they get a kick out of it. So it's fun, where my husband just kind of thinks, oh, whatever.
great. Yeah, and like she said, I design airplanes, and so that morning when she said, can you just tape whatever comes out of me, I wasn't really sure what she was going to be talking about or what it was that was actually going to be coming out of her. So yeah, it was about 12 minutes of me sounding very dumbfounded because I just being in the presence of this, these spiritual masters, which especially because I wasn't expecting it. Well, let's be honest, even if I was expecting it, the words fail me to describe, exactly what that was like. But I joke around now that they've become 10 of my best friends because it's just so much fun talking to them as much as I get to. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, reading the book, it's been fun to see your reaction and your questions and their reactions to you. Like Michelle had mentioned, and they say over and over in the book that, time, there is nothing like that there, that it's just here. So just, trying to even fathom that of no time. Because, that's all we know. And so it's like, you look at the clock and go, I'm going to be late. And then you're late for something. And, and people look down on that.
You've got there's all these concepts that are taught to us, during our lives. And then there's all the concepts that have just filtered down through society for hundreds of thousands of years. And we just accept all those as that's reality. But, a lot of fun having your eyes open to and even if you don't say, okay, well, I'm not going to believe that 100% right now, but even just opening your mind up to the idea that, maybe what we think is reality is not, it's the tip of the iceberg. Which is it's a fun idea to play with, and it's like I said, it's just having a front row seat to all this is just magical for me. I mean, I've been here for every word that's come out of Michelle's mouth that's not Michelle, which is kind of fun. Especially the fact that I know that it's not her more than anybody, and I know when I'm looking into her eyes, but I'm actually looking at the power of 10, it looks different. And so it's become normal for me, but then of course we have to remind ourselves that that this is a huge thing. Especially for people who aren't expecting it. But it's a treat.
And the power of 10, they're actually 10 different people. They're not just, so she's actually you both are getting to talk to, different minds, per se. Because each have different thoughts.
I'm going to hand the headset back onto Michelle's head because they're all here and waiting to talk to you. So it's awesome. So have fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It was nice meeting you.
You too.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for coming to the show. I appreciate it very much. I've been looking forward to chatting.
With appreciation and gratitude, which is of the highest vibration to be on your show. Thank you for spreading the good word. Yes.
One part I remember about the book that has stuck into my brain is how you explained what God is to us, but what we think is God is not. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that correctly.
Yes, you see, God is just a name that you have given the force of love that you enter into when you move into the great beyond. Yes, you see, it is not a person as you are because you do not create matter into the outer space. You see, you have no matter when you die. When you shed this body vehicle, as you all will, yes, and you enter into the space between lifetimes, which we like to call the way station because it is the entry-level existence to the great beyond of many billions of dimensions that you currently do not comprehend, yes. And so So often your countries and your nations that you created, yes, all those national boundaries are man-made, yes? They came out of thoughts that became beliefs that were told to you over time, and you all have different versions of what you see as God, yes? And you fight over it and you kill each other over this notion of God when a great loving God would never kill, you see, would never hurt, would never commit acts of violence. And so you would do well to call your God love, because you all respond and get happy over the notion of love, yes? And this is not romantic love we are talking about, although that is great too when you experience it. When you are first infatuated in love, you feel so high and happy and everything gets clear, yes, and all the flowers get more colorful, and so you all want to have romantic love. And the love we are talking about is the love times 10 times 10 times 10 that is what you enter into beyond in between lifetimes, you see. Love is who you are. It is not what you seek. And so when you leave this body vehicle behind, you will understand yourself as a great love with a capital L, you see. And all we are saying is that instead of praying and pleading to a deity, whatever you call it, you see, you could even call it the universe. People start to personify the universe, and you capitalize it like it is a person. You say the universe must hear us, and the universe doesn't even have ears, you see. You have no genitals or body parts when you go onto the other side. That makes sense to you, yes? And so when you enter into love, you become a part of love. Love would never hurt a soul, you see. It is always and forever expanding. So yes, the love of the universe is always expanding. The universe is in positive, forward-moving motion all the time. And so if you stubbornly decide to be negative and stick your feet in the ground and not go with that creative expansion, which is organic and the truth of who you are, then you will get sick from that resistance, you see. And so if you enter into a state of love, whether it is through love for your child, your animal, your love, or whoever it is, when you really truly learn to see through the eyes of love, you are that much closer to that space where we reside, you see. Because from our perspective, which is non-physical, you see, you are only love. Doesn't that feel good to you? There must be a part of you that resonates with that. Because in between lifetimes, before you came here, you were longing to remember the love that is the truth of you. And so you can call it God, you can call it universe, you can call it whatever you want. And there were many, many prophets who spoke of this great love and called it by many different forms. Whatever you call it doesn't matter, but do understand that there is no person in the sky that is judging you as bad or good. There is no bad or good. All you are doing here in this lifetime is just learning lessons so that you can stop learning your lessons through suffering and start learning through faith and trust that things always work out and move forward, because that's the truth of who you are, and you came here to remember that, yes? This resonates with you. Marjorie? Is your name Marjorie?
Yes, it is.
Marjorie. Yes,
it is. That is my real name.
Yes, you call yourself, in you as a little child, everybody called you Margie, and that is cute, but we want to call you Marjorie because it's a beautiful, joy-filled name, yes?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. You have another question?
Yes, this is from the chat room. And by the way, that was, I got goosebumps, so that was amazing. Thank you.
Good. Goosebumps are good. It means you're excited and you're resonating. It's a good sign, yes.
Yes, very much so. Okay, and here's the question from the chat room. Isn't it important that we stay mostly human while we are on Earth?
Yes, well, what do you call human, you see? You have this body vehicle, and you have a soul that sees through your body vehicle, yes? And so all we are saying is that if you start to see through the eyes of soul, which is more of you than you will tap into a higher vibrating existence. When you tap into a higher vibrating existence, you will magnify and attract to you all manner of good feeling experiences and adventures and people and opportunities, all those things you came here for. You see, and so yes, we are not saying to skip over this bodily experience, but we would like to point out to you that you are a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe. What does that mean? It means that your body is made up of rotating cells, yes, and little tiny atoms that are always in motion, yes, and your planet, as you know, it is also made up of rotating planets, yes, and a lot of space. In fact, there is more space in your atoms than matter, yes? There's only a little tiny part of you that's actually matter. Same in the universe. There's only perhaps 4% that is actually matter. The rest, no scientist even knows what it is. They call it dark matter, which is actually light because they don't know what to name it, you see. There's an awful lot of space. And so, you are more space than you are matter. When you can really conceptualize that, your life will become more like the electrical in nature that it is, you see, because you are energy. Energy never dies, it just changes form. Your Einstein said that, see? And so your energetic layer of you is more powerful than your body vehicle. And so allow that to take reign within you, you see. When you do that, you can take your body to new levels of health, you see, because if you can talk to yourself, then your cells become more vibrant and they move faster in your RPMs, you see. And then when you start doing that, you have more energy. When you have more energy and vitality, you're going to attract others of the same nature, you understand? And we want you to gather together and amplify your energies at this time. You're taking too long, you see. You are meant to evolve and grow together, to understand you are one, and then have fun. We say this all the time in the workshops, but you don't have enough fun. You did when you were little babies and children, and you forgot how. You just work, and it's hard, and we're not saying if your work is enjoyable and you're passionate about it, by all means do it, and if it isn't, then you need to change gears and do something that lights you up within. When you are lit up within, that is the truth of who you are. You are filled with light, yes? You are, see, us, where we are, we could be most closely described as light particle waves, you see. And so people say, how are there 10 of you? Because you're used to seeing individual bodies. And yet, because we vibrate at the same level and we are all on the same mission to teach and to help you all evolve, because we were once in your physical shoes and we are no longer there. And so we are here to bring you up exponentially, to take a giant leap in humanity so that now you resonate at a new level. Are you still there?
Yeah. No.
Yes. See, sometimes we emit so much energy that sometimes things go off, and so we want to make sure that you are still here and hearing our message, you see. And so, yes, by all means, enjoy your physical body. You chose it. You decided to come here in between lifetimes to inhabit the body, and there are all manner of sensual pleasures involved with the body, you see. We like to touch Michelle's legs while we're talking, and too often she was a little embarrassed when she looked at the video and we're touching her body, because when you cross over, what is it that you miss the most? You miss physical touch, yes. You miss the taste of food. And so enjoy those things now. Hug everyone you can, because that is what you will so-called miss when you go to the other side. And we would prefer you use the word cherish when you go to the other side, because miss implies that something is lacking, and nothing is ever lacking. Even when souls go into the great beyond, into the way station and beyond, into heaven, whatever you call it, they are still all around you and within you, and you still have access to that. And the higher you vibrate, by doing all things that light you up and make you happy individually. And it's different for everyone, yes? You're all unique like little snowflakes. And so do the things that make you so happy, and you'll be that much closer to being to the place where we reside. You see, because when you go and you leave into heaven or the way station, whatever you wish to call it, in between lifetimes, perhaps now you say, oh, it's not the habit. I'm not going to jump back in and do another lifetime, because you've done that. Many of you are very, very old souls who've been through lots and lots and lots of tragedies that you've learned exponentially from. And many of you, the higher you vibrate, are learning those lessons from past lives, because there's no past, present, future. It is all happening right now. So as you bring all that wisdom and knowledge forward, then when you go on to the other side, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to where we are, and you will know, because you will be ready to know, the same as you are here. So everything you are learning right now in this bodily experience is important to help you grow and evolve. All we are saying is that we want to give you a hint that there is so much more. And as you live in that more, in that state of beyond, then your life will just get better and better and better. Now, doesn't that sound like a good thing?
It does. It definitely does.
Yes.
Another question. Is there such a thing as making a wrong choice in life?
That is a good question. As we have pointed out, there is no right or wrong, good or bad. You seem to think that everything, you believe in a judgmental God, and so you think because you judge, yes? You're all in this state of compare and contrast. This thing is good, this thing is bad. If I make this decision, that is the wrong choice. If I make this decision, it is the right choice. We are here to tell you, you came in here into this life story with a rough outline, and you knew that there would be challenges that you overcome so that you could learn through contrast, yes? You learn by saying, I'm going to do that, and then you learn and you say, oh, I really don't like that experience. I'm going to do differently next time, yes? And what we were saying now is many of you still need to learn that way, yes? Your world still learns from contrast. Your world sees something really bad from wars and people dying and hurting each other and separating out, and then you say, we can do better. And so you learn from that contrast and you learn the truth of who you are, which is one, which is oneness, the state and grace of oneness. And so as you learn from that compare and contrast, there will come a time, and you are getting there now. That is why we are here, is to let you know that many of you are on that verge of knowing that you can now just affirm, I learned through faith and not suffering. We are not here to say that you won't experience pain. That is part and parcel of having a physical body. And yet, you will not be addicted to your suffering. Do you understand the difference? Because many of you are so addicted to your suffering, and so you go around and you complain, and you create the momentum with that vibration, and other people join in, and you're complaining. And then you wonder, that is the, quote, wrong turn, because you're going to feel like you sink down and down and down. We always use the example of an egg, which some people understand and some people don't. But the yolk is heavy, and so it sinks. And when you whip up the egg whites, they froth because they are lighter in density. That is the only difference. And so if you find yourself constantly in a negative state, and that does not mean that you're not working through a problem. See, if you see something and you're working through it and you acknowledge it, and you talk, but don't endlessly talk about it. Don't stay stuck there. You see the lesson in it, and then you let it go. You see it, you let it go. You accept it, you let it go. And the quicker you can let go of it, the higher you can get. The higher you can get, the more you attract all the things that you wanted in this lifetime. You understand? And when you transition into non-physical, there you will understand there is no such thing as a judgmental deity. You judge yourself. You did this to yourself. You're creating your own version of hell when there is no fire on the other side. How can there be fire into the ethers? There's no such thing, you understand? It is all a state of unconditional love and light. And unconditional means no conditions. Do you understand? And so that way, if there are no conditions, then how could you ever do anything wrong? You are so much more precious and divine than you even understand. You are powerful, powerful creatures. And so when you start to say, am I going down the right path? Ask yourself if it lights you up. If it lights you up, then it is most definitely the path that makes you most excited. The path that makes you most excited is definitely the path that you are meant to be on. If it makes you feel, and you feel sick and tired, like you don't want to do it, wait for the inspiration. Do not act out of a state of obligation and responsibility, or you will dread your entire life. And then it is over pretty quickly, and then you get to the other side and you do it all over again, and you start out from a little baby, and you have to do the whole suffering thing all over again. It's time you stop doing that. You just acknowledge, does this feel good? And then you do it. Does this feel bad? Perhaps I shouldn't do that. And you follow your own inner guidance that you were all born with, because you understand when you go to the other side, you get that you are nothing but intuition. Your intuition's out in the open. And so tap into it now inside of a body, and you will have that guidance you need, just like a GPS to go the direction you need. All the time we have people in our workshops that ask, what is my purpose? And we tell you over and over again, your great purpose is to love. You already are love, so you've already attained your purpose. And so you can ask yourself, how do I express love at this time? how do I resonate to love? And so for some people, for Michelle, she creates with her writing. Other people create with their art. For Marjorie, she creates with her words and her radio shows, and she connects people, you see. So what is it? How do you express the love that is you in this lifetime? That is the question you should be asking, rather than what is my grandiose purpose? Not everybody is sent here to be a president or king or movie star. You see, you all have great purposes to be creative and full of love and freedom, which is another huge thing. So often you want money so you can do things, but we are here to tell you you are already made up of freedom. If you get that, then all the money and activities and adventures will be drawn right to you, because you don't need paper or metal to have a value of who you are. You see, those are just representative in your culture. Know that you are freedom. Know that you are love, and watch how your life changes. Yes.
That's awesome.
You have another question?
Anybody else in the chat room have a question? So much you have said that it's a lot to take in.
Yes. Yes. We are here. We got a lot in, yes, because like we have mentioned before, it is time for you. You call it waking up, and yet so many of you have been awake for a while, and now you're stretching and yawning, and it's time to move on to something even better, because your life is always expanding, always growing. And if you just stay stuck, that doesn't feel so good. When you keep moving and changing and growing and creating, that's where life gets really good and fun, yes.
Very true, very true.
Did you have more questions for us, or should we bring Michelle back?
I don't have any more that I can think of right now, and it doesn't seem like anybody else does in the chat room. And I am so thankful for you being here. I have no words. It was an amazing experience to have you here. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, it's just most wonderful to be on your show. Thank you, Marjorie. And we will give this headset contraption back to Joda so Michelle can re-enter her body. Here it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
I told you it was a little hard to find the words after that, huh?
Wow, I don't know. Yeah, that was, I was not prepared for that. Like you said, that was, that pretty much brought tears to my eyes. What a feeling. Wow.
Right, and it's only even stronger when it's in person. What's funny is as we speak, I'm giving Michelle some water to drink, because as you can hear, they talk incredibly fast through her mouth. And so after, especially, can you imagine sometimes these go on for an hour and a half or more, and they're talking that fast throughout, almost the entire hour and a half. And so by the time it's over, her mouth is just parched. So we always have to have a minute or two for her to gain her bearings, because she actually doesn't remember anything that just happened in the last 20 or so minutes.
Well, that, and too, her voice completely changes. It's like once she started talking, and I was like, whoa, wait. I mean, just because oops, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's part of the reason in the beginning of our workshops, Michelle likes to tell the story of how this all started about, but it's really important for people to hear who she is and then hear them talking. And obviously you're not seeing this, but her body language, her posture changes, not in a dramatic way, but obviously as someone who knows her as well as I do, I could pick out all the things that's not her, that's them. But it's as you can tell, it's a wonderful experience, and they're so full of love and explaining to us that that's what we are, and just the presence of that is just mind-blowing in a really great way.
Yeah, that was something. It was very touching. It was like, wow, mind blown.
Yeah. No, the first recording, we actually trimmed it down because there is probably about 5 minutes longer of just silence because I was trying to find words to have a conversation with the power of 10 that I didn't know I was about to have, and being caught off guard to the point where I had no idea what was going on. So there's a lot of quiet time of me just raising my eyebrows trying to figure out what's going on, but loving it all at the same time. So
yeah,
I think Michelle is back and conscious with us here. Well, she's been conscious the whole time, but
I understood what you said.
I'll hand her back to headset. So again, it was wonderful talking to you, and here's Michelle again.
Thanks again, Joda.
Huh?
Hi.
Hi. That was wow.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, huh? Yeah, it's intense. I get really hot. It's a great workout, I think, because it must raise my metabolism, which is fantastic. Because I'm sweaty here, and that was with sitting down. When we do our workshops, they get pretty jazzed up and animated. I feel like I've just been through an aerobics class because I'm jumping all over the place.
Hi.
Good stuff, though, right?
Wow, I actually got teary-eyed at the end, and I just, there's like loss for words because there's so much that she said, or they said, I guess I'm saying she because, it was just
right.
the one, but, yeah, that was, that was crazy. Yeah, you completely lose what you even, the one question I had asked, in the book, one part that stuck out to me and that kept coming back to me was that the God that we know isn't the God that, that is there.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I think it's just our conception of it, That
right.
kind of blew my head, too. But when I really actually sat and thought about it, it's like, well, why would there be a person in space? We don't, obviously, when you die, you don't have a body anymore. So I think that's just our way of conceptualizing it. But, even when I had that near-death experience, I remember feeling like just so loved and cared for, and it shocked me because we have all these ideas of who God is, and I think you can think what you want, but I just really love how they word it, because the idea that God is this universal force of love, it transcends all the boundaries that we've made about. It's not even a him or her. It's
right.
a force. And
right.
we're a part of it. And that empowers us rather than thinking, that we've done something wrong and that we've grown up, that we're bad. And we're just doing the best we can, right? All of us are. This it's kind of like they compare us to babies. We're just bumbling around, trying to figure this whole earth thing out. And but I love that, because so much of our violence and wars is fighting over these ideologies of who God is, and how ironic is that? Because really under every spiritual philosophy is to love each other as we would ourselves, to not kill, to not, to treat each other as we would ourselves. That's under every religion. But, religions and politics, all those things are belief systems, and beliefs are just thoughts that we think over and over again, or that are fed to us. So if you can get beyond that or underneath it and just see God as this loving force for good to unite us, it's a whole new ballgame, right? It changes everything. And some people will fight me on that because they want their version of it, and that's okay too. I'm not here to say, or they're not here to say that there's one right way. But they come from a different place. They're non-physical, so they see things differently than we do. And trust me, I have a hard time saying they too. It's a tough concept to say that there's more than one, especially when it's coming through as one voice. But when you understand it from an energetic perspective, it makes sense. It's more like there's a lot in the second book about harmonizing and hearing things as one chord. And what I love about that is, you're going to say it better than I do, and now I'm a little spacey, but it's, really what our world needs to do instead of trying to agree on the same chord is that you can have different notes. They all just have to sound good together, right?
Right. Oh, man.
Whoa, did I lose you?
Hello?
I think I lost the headset. Oh, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay, good. My headset died.
Oh, no.
That power thing again. This is what it's like being a medium. Lights go out and electrical appliances don't work because your energy is just amplified. It's just a thing.
I know.
But anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And do you understand now how hard it is to describe what that is? Because I don't know. It's powerful. It's a wow.
It is a wow. It is a wow. I told Jonah after, I didn't know what to say, and I actually got teary-eyed. And just the feeling you get is just, it's a different feeling.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And you know what's great is that it lasts. Like after, it's funny watching the before and after of one of our, we call them limitless expansion events. Or we also do little manifesting miracles circles of 10. So we do intimate gatherings and we do big workshops, and they're both completely different energies. Because of the little gatherings, people all get a chance to ask a question if they want, versus a big gathering, we can only handle what we can. But, everybody learns from the questions of the people that come up. But, where was I going with this? Oh, the before and after. So you see people, people are nervous, they don't know what to expect, and they're a little awkward. And by the end, again, I don't remember hardly anything of what just happened. I kind of joke that it's like being drunk, where you remember the next day highlights. So I'm there, but I'm not. I know I'm there, but I don't remember it because I'm just so intensely present. Funny enough, I've been remembering more the longer I do this, but in the beginning I didn't remember anything. And so I come to, and everybody's just lit up and teary-eyed and happy and blissed out. It's wild, and people make friends with each other, and they make contacts, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see people engaged like that. You just don't see them that happy that often. And when I leave, it's hilarious because Joda and I usually will find some restaurant to decompress or something, because you can't go to sleep after something like that. And so we'll eat to kind of bring us down to earth and drink some water. And I feel like I'm Snow White. People will just, like, little kids and dogs, everybody wants to be around me because I'm radiating at such a high level from inhabiting their energy, you see. And so, people will like, here, you want this? They'll give me chocolate, and I'm like, I love chocolate, and they'll just start handing me things like this because they just feel it, and they don't know how to describe that. But when you're in the midst of someone that is radiating that kind of positivity, it just feels good. It's contagious, and contagious in a good way, in the same way that negativity can be contagious. Now, mind you, it lasts for a while, and sometimes we have a hard time going to sleep, so we'll go in the hot tub or something to ground us. But, and then it's funny because I'll let something get to me, something silly, because after these events you feel like you have no problems. It puts everything into perspective, and you go, what the heck am I tripping on? Why am I so stressed about these inconsequential things? But I do. I'm human, too. I think people look at me after an event like I'm some sort of god, and I'm not. I'm just a normal person learning from all this stuff, too. And as you can see from talking to them, they're not all high and mighty either. They're very approachable, and they're funny. I always say they're funnier than I am. But it's the energy of it. And when you come to an event, you just feel it all the more. And so often people just tell other people, like, you just got to come to this and just experience it for yourself, because it's just a hard thing to describe with adjectives. And I've been in marketing, and I still have a hard time. And I'm just like, just watch, just listen, and see what you think. And it's different every time. It just depends on the group of people and their energetic offering, right? And so that's what I love about it, is that we never know what to expect. It's a different session every time, and we're always learning and growing from them. So I'm just so ridiculously grateful that I said yes to this, because, you know, it would have been easy to say no. I was fearful. I mean, I was scared of this. I was afraid of what people would think of me. But when you experience it and you see how amazing and transformational it is in just such a powerful way, then how could I say no to that, you know? So now the more I say yes, the more opportunities, like talking to you and the TV show and the books, all these things are happening just because I just feel like you can't hold on to something and like that as a secret. It has to be shared. And so I just hope that it spreads and spreads and spreads, so that, you know, if everybody understood God is love, maybe we wouldn't hurt each other. You know, maybe we'd stop attacking each other and separating ourselves out into these groups, which is just not true. It's kind of ridiculous. I do it too still. I fall into that trap. But ultimately, it's just so good to remember that that's just not real. I like the Power of 10's version of reality better.
I do too. And I'm going to have to apologize. I actually lost internet connection.
Oh, no.
And obviously you didn't realize that, because you were talking, which I am so glad you did. Luckily for me, I have my Verizon Jetpack, so I got that going right away, and that was just kind of like, good. I mean, I literally lost connection completely. So I'm glad that you stayed talking and I was able to get back on quickly. But I was like,
perfect.
No.
See, things always work out. The more
yes.
I do this work, it may not be how you think it's going to be, but if you really hold that belief system that things always work out in your favor, that it's, as I'm sure they said tonight, because they say it all the time, that we're in this positive, forward-moving universe, then of course it's going to work out. So, you know, it's all good. I'm glad that you got back on.
So I was like, oh no. I was just glad that you did keep talking, so that was good.
Good.
Because
good.
I don't think anybody else noticed I was gone. So you could have done the rest of the show all by yourself and nobody would have known.
See, and that's pretty much the worst that can happen in a radio show. So you just experienced the, quote, worst, and it still went on and everything was great, right? The show still went on. So now
exactly.
you can just build on that and just always expect that things are always going to work out. And they will.
Exactly. Oh, I am so, I can't tell you how happy that I am that you were doing this for me. Michelle and I met on another radio show, and I clicked with you. There was just something about you. Just you're so happy, and I loved the vibration I got from you. So I am so glad that I stayed in touch with you. And
me too. And you know, it's just you and I are a perfect example of that, right? That like attracts like, because when you click with someone, you can't really describe it. You just click. It's just a frequency match. That's all it is. And then alternatively, you know, when someone doesn't like you, you know, instead of taking it personally, you just realize that people are at different stages of their development. It doesn't mean that they're better or worse than you. It's just that you're not vibing, and that's okay too. But you just kind of keep going where you click with people. And I just, you know, we got callers all the time, but I don't know, I just like you. I knew I just vibe with you. And so when you asked, of course I'm going to say yes. And that's how it works. You know, you go toward your tribe, toward those people that support you and love you. And that's not to say, I get, you know, grief from that sometimes too. And it's not to say that it's powerful to heal people, but I don't think we're here to change anybody. I know we're not. People come here with their own soul agreements, and when we interfere, we're interfering with their lessons. And so if someone is is, really not wanting to grow and change, you let them be. Let them learn their own way. And if you're meant to come back together in each other's lives, you will, just because by virtue of your vibrational offering. And so, sometimes, because that happens, right, with friendships too. It's like people move away and they come back together. And, instead of getting upset over it or taking it personally, I think if you look at it from an energetics perspective, it just makes it easy. It's just like, okay, I'm just going to be around the people that get me, and it just makes life easier. And if you don't, more power to you. That's okay, too. You can hang out with the people that you vibe with. But as for me, I'm going to hang out with like-minded people and like-vibing people because that just feels good, right?
Exactly.
So, and that's what I see for you as you do this show. I mean, it's funny because, you were on a different show and now you're doing your own show. And I just know that the right guests are going to be on as you allow it. That's just the way it works. And you'll keep learning because I think I'm attracted to I've been getting a lot of really awesome female friends lately, which I was really putting that intention out there. Because in the past I tend to, I don't know, I had a lot of, can I say the B word on here? Backstabbing B word people in my life. And I don't know what that was about, but I really wanted really supportive friends who were inspiring each other, right? And I just really love when other women support other women. I love because I feel like there's enough for everybody, right? And so this whole competitive stuff is garbage to me. It's, we support each other to their highest and best, and I really am attracted to women and men, people that are on their own path, that are always looking to learn in their own way, even if it's not through Power of 10, whatever. As long as you are growing and learning, then you're alive, right? I mean, that's what
Exactly.
Power of 10 has taught me. Otherwise, you're just kind of existing and boring. They probably wouldn't say that, but that's just my assessment.
You're totally right, though.
I'm just kidding now. I need to eat and go in the hot tub and ground myself so the little birds don't follow me and I do the Snow White thing.
As long as they clean for you, that would be okay.
Yeah,
though.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, that's a good idea. Why haven't I asked them to clean for me? We have one of those robotic vacuum cleaners that does that for us. That just was the best thing we ever purchased.
My son would like me to get one of those. Maybe someday. Now they're my cleaners.
Yeah. Well, you have kids for that.
Exactly. Oh, well, we went over our hour, which is totally fine.
I was going to ask. I have no concept of time when I'm in
no, and that's okay as long as you're okay with it. No, it's totally fine that we went over.
I love doing this, and so, thank you for having me. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to be on your show. And if anybody wants to connect with us, the best and easiest way is we are the power of 10, the number 10.com. You do /events to get tickets for our Limitless Expansion workshops, or /circles for the circles, or you can go to the recordings like we mentioned before and listen to those. We're also building an Indiegogo site to help fund our campaign. So if you want to sponsor our TV show, we get to do promotional opportunities provided by. Just get in contact with me and I can put you in touch with our producer. He's wonderful. He's with Black Rock Entertainment. And, we'll be filming. It's very exciting. And our book, probably the easiest way is to get on Amazon. It's Manifesting Miracles and Money, How to Achieve Peace, Purpose, and Plenty Without Getting in Your Own Way. It just came out in paperback, and so we're planning a book launch party, and we'll be doing book signings and that kind of thing. So that's fun. And, just keep in touch with us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. So all those links are on our website. So thank you to all the listeners tonight, and keep tuning in to Margie's show because she's fabulous. And,
Thanks.
and thanks again. It was fun.
Oh, it was a blast. I am totally honored to have had you and the Power of 10 on, and to meet Joda finally.
Yeah, isn't he great?
That was fun. I cannot wait for the show. I am so pumped. I'm like, yay, because I met you, and then soon after you were talking about wanting to do a show and that you were working on it, and I was all excited. It's like, oh, I get, I'm gonna know an actual reality TV star, and it's like, oh yeah.
I know. I mean, today we worked on, the producer made a trailer, and we're going to release it either tonight or tomorrow. But it came out so good. So good. I mean, both of us were just like, wow, he gets it, and it's beautiful. He gets our vision, because that's not easy to convey to Hollywood, right? And it just, I don't know, it just seems like this amazing experience. So I'm so glad my husband's on it with me, because as you heard, he's such a great guy. He's so amazingly down to earth and smart, and thank God he's technical, so he helps me with all the technical stuff that I don't know how to do. And it's just, yeah, he loves it too. I mean, who knew? He's got the engineering left brain. And if he can get it, then anybody can, because he just didn't know but he just kept an open mind, and he loves me. And I think that love for me is what really supports me on this journey. It's important when you're doing channeling work to have somebody like that in your life. So I'm just grateful to have the love of my life go on this journey with me. It just makes it that much more fun.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, I love the part where you guys are sickeningly in love.
Right, sickeningly? Yeah, I wrote that. Because it's true. People are like, it's funny because what's great is when we are with people, it inspires people to find love or to reignite their love. We won't even be sitting next to each other. And people can feel it between us, because that's just the kind of love that we have. And, we've been together 6 years now, so it hasn't been that long in the scheme of things. We've been married for 4 years. But it's really great because people go, that makes me understand that love exists, that it gives me hope. And so that's, beyond even just the show concept and the Power of 10, I like that the side story is us just being regular people and being a couple, and doing the things that we enjoy, because I think that, when I was in not so good relationships, learning relationships, I should say, I didn't really realize that kind of love existed. I didn't have an example of it in my life. And I wish someone would have told me, because I was ready to just go solo if needed and just be alone the rest of my life if I couldn't find it, because I was tired of having toxic relationships. And just to find it later in my life is just such a blessing. And I just think it's great that people are going to see that, and hopefully it gives them hope too. Like I said, either to reignite their own relationship, or if they've given up and they don't think that they can have one. Not that that is necessary to your survival, but, it sure does help to have a partner in life. Life can be a challenge, and it's just really nice to have someone in your corner. So and everybody loves Joda. Everybody loves Joda. So I have a feeling he's going to be the big star of this show, and even though he never saw himself as being a movie star ever. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I can't wait, and I look forward to that, and I hope you come back again. I would love to have you back on. Oh,
yes,
I totally
we'll
love
be
to
regular.
have you back on. That would be awesome when you get time.
Yeah, well, there's no such thing as time, remember? So
I know. Oh.
So anytime, you just let me know.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm going to let you go so you can go and chill and eat. Yes. Like I said, I appreciate you very much. Thank you. And we will talk soon, and I will get you a link to the show. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Many blessings. Good night. Wow. I hope you guys liked the show. That was, like I said, I don't even know what to say. That was pretty fun. I've never actually talked with her and the Power of 10 before, so it was totally brand new for me. I knew she had been doing this, but I have never been in on it. So thank you. Thank you for coming to Mystic Vibrations Radio. For anybody that is listening to the recording, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you come and join us in the chat room and actually on the show sometime soon. Next Sunday, I have my guest, Paula France, once again. And I wish you all a very wonderful week and many blessings. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks again for coming.